Oh, here we go. All right.
Uh-oh.
All right, guys. Seems like y'all missed us. I don't know. We'll see. But today we about to bring that fire. Play Your Part Podcast, episode 18. Your transparency, awareness, and accountability. This is your host B.
They call me the Black Lana Del Rey.
All right, and it's Ricky Monty.
Yana Rochelle.
It's always
Tanya.
All right, guys. I appreciate y'all being here. Um, Rick is back. You know, from the wilderness. You know what I'm saying? Good to see his face back, man. Appreciate Yana and Tanya being on here, giving us their time and space. We're gonna go ahead and kick it in with Kevin's Icebreakers.
Hey, why everybody get thanked for being here except for me? I'm not a part of the team out here.
You always do.
Thank you. It was hard for me to roll out of bed this morning and get here.
Yeah. There you go. I gave you all your accolades, Kevin. We always appreciate to have your presence here, sir. I greatly appreciate it, sir.
You don't have, you have no idea how hard it was to move this 2 feet from my bed to get to this podcast today.
All right, you're in a different location. You're in a different location instead of the typical place.
Oh yeah, gotta switch it up. Never let them know your next move out here. Nah, but so I only have the one icebreaker today is because B said I had to be more professional and do current events. Current event in the mail, in the news today was they took a vote to bring same sex marriage and mixed marriages to become law, so they can't overturn it like it did the Roe v. Wade thing. The thing about it, I said, which it should have been a law, but the thing about it that I thought was crazy was that the vote was actually, it was 167 to 157, where 157 Republicans voted against it becoming a law. And I said, that's just crazy. In today's day and age, y'all still out here over a third of Congress is talking about they don't want same-sex marriage to be a and me.
So is it for same sex and interracial?
Yeah, they both were voted on this week.
Wait, what?
I'm not really sure. Interracial marriage, yeah.
Interracial too?
Mm-hmm.
Back in like the 19
Handmaid
Tale.
Hey. I just think it's sad. It's really sad, honestly. I don't have anything against anybody. You marry whoever you want to. Let's be honest. This is plenty of people that then got married to people that nobody else wanted them to marry. So like, hey, do what you want to do. If you want to get married to the same sex, if you want to get married to somebody that doesn't look like you, who am I to judge you for that? You have to live with that person forever. Whether y'all are opposite sex, same sex, black, purple, white, dot, zebra stripe, that's on y'all. That's y'all's forever. So I just think it's just the fact that there are laws being created, not for the betterment of people, because there's some other stuff they should be voting on. You should be voting on You should be voting on the education budget, which is down, by the way. They don't even have enough teachers. I know, at least in my area, to cover for this upcoming school year. And this upcoming school year is in 3 weeks. They're not fully staffed. Y'all should be voting about stuff like that, not about what goes on in other people's household. That's just my opinion. Like, but I knew once they overturned abortion, they were gonna go for everything. They were gonna go for same sex. They were gonna go for interracial. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to take it back to home ownership, where you gotta be a non-person of color to own something. Like that. That's how deep these people are like taking it, and it's dumb. It's stupid. Like this, but this is America. This is the country we live in. This is what our taxes are paying for. Dumb shit like this, pretty much.
What was like I said, what was shocking to me is that 157 out of 204 Republicans said, "Nah, we taking this back," or like, "This can't be a law right here." So I just think that that's a crazy number. I mean, for same sex or marriages, I said that's just a crazy number in 2022.
That's period. Like, it's like, what was the movements? And so, like, all the sacrifices people put in to these barriers down. It's like it's like a waste, bro. It's like it's really depressing.
It really is. It's sad. Because, and I just don't think that people just like really look at the whole. I don't think people really look at the whole bigger picture of it. If you erase something like that, this isn't just like a political move. This is like people's families. Like children that are products of an interracial marriage relationship, children that are products of a same-sex marriage relationship, people with their health care, people with their benefits, people that want to leave something for their children or a significant other. It's just so much more than just black and white. Like literally, it really is. And I feel bad for people that I know that are going to be in this situation. I feel bad for their children. I feel bad just being a part of a country, and I feel bad that there are people out here that those 157 Republicans that voted no. I feel bad. And my grandma always used to say, it ain't gonna hurt you until it affects you. And it's not hurting them, so they don't care right
Okay, so we're gonna go to the we're gonna go to the next icebreaker, and the next icebreaker is let's see. All right. The next icebreaker is the topic is 27-year-old trans woman who was placed to serve long sentence in female-only prison was transferred to the men's facility after impregnating two inmates. So to give context to this and to let everybody know, uh, to explain it, I said in this scenario, uh, they had a bunch of inmates who were who's made the transition to being a trans woman or man. Mostly we're talking about trans women. They had filed against the corrections facility and filed a lawsuit for them to be protected because they would go to the men's side and get violated and mistreated. So they have to separate them in different pods, but they weren't getting that protection. So to get that protection, they had put in there and filed a lawsuit, and the corrections institutes across the board in the United States had to grant that situation. So I think in the sense of what it is right now, it it was more in a situation where this incident it happened, but by it, they don't condone people or in jail to have any kind of physical activities with each other. So then they didn't really know what to really do with this uh, this trans woman. So when they did leave the trans woman with female, because that trans woman had several requests to do that, so they granted her request, and then now we coming into the scenario where this trans woman impregnated two other inmates. So that's it. Just want to get y'all's opinion about it. If y'all have one, if not, we can question.
I can't hear nothing.
Nobody wants to say anything.
I mean, it's not much to be said. I mean,
Oh,
that's
I'm
a.
sorry, 'cause I
I
can't
mean,
hear
what do you
nothing. I
think?
was
I
like, what's going on?
anticipate that. I anticipate that that's something that would arise if you put someone who's going through a transition in a pod with women. It's unfortunate that the person utilized that protection in a sense as an opportunity to impregnate women. So it's just kind of one of those things you're gonna run into, and I feel like with the correctional system should have some type of contingency plan in place. Have a system in place just like you have a system there for people who are mentally ill or have some type of mental disability. They provide different housing for those individuals. So if you have people who are going through transition, it should have been some type of facility in place. And I mean, it's just like you're gonna have to walk on eggshells when it comes to that because you don't know, what that person is gonna claim. I mean, if you put them in a cell, like you said, with men, then they'll be taken advantage of. You put them in there with women, then you have situations like this that arise. So it's always going to be something on either side. The only solution I think that they could have done is just have them in a different pot altogether, a separate wing or block only for trans people. And it's unfortunate you had to do it that way, but I mean, jail split up by gender for a reason. These type of things are
Yeah,
going to happen. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
yeah. I think also too in the scenario of it being so, it's more like I think Yana, me and you watched it before where they had in I think was it Fulton County or one of the counties in Georgia where they have a whole wing set aside for protected trans people. They actually had
They
a protected wing. Yeah. So
Mhm.
like it's something that like it's almost like that's they're like a great example of how to really do it. Like separating actually people in that type of if that's what their preference is to protect them because any time that you have a change, that's like a target point on somebody. You know what I'm saying? And they're just getting tired of being targeted. I think like the best separation is you have to separate it 3 different times, different type of ways. You know what I'm saying? So this is my opinion about it. It's good that they have been protected.
Where'd you say
I
this was?
mean,
This was in New Jersey.
like a north.
Say,
Yeah, yeah,
I was gonna say. I said they got them separated in Georgia because they more common out there. I don't think they like really a high population out in not to warrant a separate location. And
yeah, yeah.
but everybody knows about Atlanta.
So they did down there what Brandon was talking about. They did down there because they happened that
Hmm.
the New Jersey, I guess, prison had like that actually happened, and so that's why they created a whole unit to
Yep,
avoid that problem happening.
yep.
But we
And
had
it
a
actually,
like
and
we don't.
it actually worked. It actually worked
Mhm.
to keep down the bunch of violence like that on trans people. It actually worked. And it was like that was the show was really showing that hey, we know we have this issue and this problem. This is why we did it to solve it. They shut down a whole wing just to have a wing for them, and just kind of like put the harder criminals over here, and then put the rest of everybody in general population to be able to give them that space to do it.
Mhm.
That's why I was like, that's like the best example to use, because they're gonna, you're gonna be flooded with lawsuits if you don't. You know what I'm saying? So, but
I
yeah,
don't know,
that was
like a health hospital, and we have a women's unit, and we do have transgender people that come in and they facilitate the hospital, and we always have a really hard time trying to figure out how to house a transgender, especially if there's somebody that's not even undergoing hormonal change or anything like that. Um, like Rick said, it's just like a tough thing because on one end you're gonna be like, well, this should be done because of this, but then the other end you're gonna offend somebody because of whatever. Um, and we're always stuck with it. Whenever we have somebody that comes in, we really don't know. Like we could pitch on the adult unit, but then that's more for our violent people. We could pitch on the women's unit, but then we don't want to make the women that are already mentally incapacitated uncomfortable. So you just really be stuck in a hard between a rock and a hard place sometimes.
yeah. Well, that was the end of my icebreaker. So, goodness, I'm gonna give it back up to Kevin.
All right, so we're going into I know we're late getting into it this month, but it's mental health awareness for minorities. That's what this month we were supposed to be focusing on. So to start the discussion today, I wanted to bring up um, why do we think that mental health is always thrown onto the back burner in some minority races and everything. I know growing up as a black man, like therapy was not uh, on the docket. Like it wasn't something that we talked about or something that people did. I remember even being like back in the day on black sitcoms or whatever or TV shows, they didn't go to therapy or like if they did, it was like embarrassing. I said they showed that it like help you out, but it also is like something embarrassing. I remember like an episode of Living Single I saw not too long ago. Khadijah had to go to therapy. She went in there with a wig on and everything. And it's like and like came in and said gave her a fake name and everything, like it was something to be embarrassed about. And then her friends giving her crap about her like trying to get mental health. And she was like going through depression at the time and stuff.
Good
So
day.
yeah, what's y'all opinion on why you think like it's just not a thing in black communities? I don't know if it is now. I think we're getting better.
So I guess I'll go first. Yeah, it's getting better. I think that one of the biggest issues that we face when we're talking about, particularly in the black community, is that there is some type of, stigma surrounding that, which I'll get into a little bit next, surrounding the fact that people assume if you have some type of mental illness, then that equates to you being weak or that you're, incapable of operating, being afraid of, ridicule on one end or another. I think there's just like, as a whole, the black community feel like we face enough ridicule outside of now having to deal with mental illnesses and having to, try to go to a organization or somewhere in order to get help is just going to further those already prejudiced things that goes on. Not necessarily in every single case, but as a whole, I think the biggest thing is that people from our community tend to think that that is a sign of weakness.
Yeah, that's a good segue into your topic, Rick. I think it's just like Kevin said, the showing, like I always said, TV sitcoms are a reflection of what society is today. You know what I'm saying? The society of the '90s was that on Sydney Single, uh, and it was a great example of seeing that. If now instead of you being disguised or being like you're gonna be shunned for going to get some help, mental health, now it's like highly encouraged. It's like the word of the day. You should go get your help and that peace you need because that those times were painful because it was conditioned and you still were conditioned into just thinking that if you're crazy, everybody's gonna call you a crazy person, and then everybody's gonna exile and make you just isolate you, and that's the worst thing to do to a person. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't seen it, and we've seen it before, I remember Rick when a good example of it is when you even when the second half of you coming from Korea then going to Fort Hood. You know what I'm saying? When you start seeing even there in Korea, suicides went up, bro. We was in, but between 2010 and probably 2012, 13 time frame, so the suicides was like it was crazy. How many safety stand downs that we had to have? You know what I'm saying? It was so many. There's some people that killed themselves on bikes, killed themselves in their rooms. We gotta do suicide watch. We gotta do all these things. And seeing that like in your face, like you have to do a suicide watch with this guy because I don't know if he playing or I don't know if he playing or if he being for real. But this dude been I'm not gonna take any chances. And this is what you had to do. And it was crazy. So like it's gotta stop. Like there's a problem, we gotta talk about what the problem is. And the problem is talking about your issues. Because to find peace within yourself, you have to go seek it and get that closure for yourself so you can be able to prosper and move on forward. You know what I'm saying? You want to be the victor and don't continue to be the victim of the situation. It's like whatever that closure speaks to you, then you go get that. You should go have that conversation with your therapist, to whomever it is, because you see what I'm saying? It's like very important for that. And I'm just tired of seeing like people kill themselves because of simple things that we could just have a conversation with. I don't know, but maybe you know.
I mean, I'm gonna talk about it later, but it's just being just more kind to people. I get so tired of people telling people I'm there for you if you want to talk or whatever. I think Tanya touched on this a couple of weeks ago. Stop asking people what's wrong with them, and then they tell you what's wrong with them, and then you get mad because of what they tell you is wrong with them. That's part of the mental health. If something is wrong with somebody and they trust you enough with their vulnerability to tell you something is wrong with them so that y'all can figure out how to help them, and they come to you and they only get back from you nothing but chastising, um, making fun of what they're going through mentally or non-support, it shuts that person down. And a lot of that sometimes is with minorities, unfortunately. We already have to deal with so much as a minority, and now I have to deal with my mental health. I already don't have support doing my day-to-day stuff. So I always want to get support with somebody about what I'm thinking, my mental, how I feel. Like that's just a thing. Be kind. Be happy that a person is vulnerable enough to even want to have help. Stop passing judgment. Stop trying to make sense to you because that's not what it is. They don't need that. Like ask them what they need. And if what they need is something you can't give, just say that. But tuning them feel less than because they already feel less than in a world of, whatever problems that people of color have to go through. That's not healthy. And it's not helping. And it's why there's that gap there sometimes with minorities and their mental health.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a like I said, it needs to be talked about, and we need to have a conversation about it and have the situation to put ourselves in the best situation to grow as people. So to do that, if that takes you having to go talk to somebody or have that conversation with somebody to get clarity for yourself so you can be able to move forward. And that's like the most important part, to be able to be a conqueror of what's going on in your life so you can be able to grow and prosper as you should and grow. All right. So we're gonna go right into Rick's topic for today. And Rick's topic for today is changing the narrative, getting rid of the stigmatism surrounding mental health. It's all yours, Rick.
Yes, hey, I appreciate it again, B man. It's just a pleasure to be back. I'm glad I'm back from the field, but I'm gonna get right into it because it's mental health awareness and especially focusing on our minorities. But when we're talking about stigma surrounding mental health, first we got to understand what is a stigma. I mean, some people think it's just a blanketed form of speech, things that we've heard along the way. The APA has a fine definition of what are the stigmas, and there are three main types of stigmas. All right, so APA describes the first stigma as the public stigma. Then you have self stigma. Finally, you have institutional stigma. So, public stigma is a negative or discriminatory attitudes that others have about mental illness. Self stigma obviously refers to the negative attitudes and includes, your own self shame that people have whenever they're faced with these issues on themselves. And finally, your institutional stigma covers your systemic involving the different points of views and that will, if you were to claim any type of mental illness within a private organization or governmental organization that intentionally or unintentionally will prevent or limit you from opportunities that within that organization. Now that last one, and I'm gonna work my way backwards back to the public stigma. But institutional stigma is one of those main things we see in the United States Army. I can't speak for all service branches. I can only speak for that branch. They do offer, behavioral health, mental health facilities, but there's a connotation that goes along with that, right? And it may not allow you to do certain jobs. Yes, you can go get that help, but if you want to do specialized things within that organization as a military, they will put it on your record and it will stop you from qualifying or furthering to get certain things done when you get your psyche eval done. And that's one of the biggest deterrents that people tend to not get the help that they necessarily need. And self stigma has a form in that as well because you are a part of an organization, you're trying to thrive and be a productive citizen as well as a service members. I want to try to dual hat that, but you want to try to put your best foot forward. But at the end of the day, you're so caught up around how people are already talking about what people think about mental health and mental illnesses, and now you're getting on yourself about your mental illness. You're not wanting to go and talk to the proper channels in order to seek out that help. These are things that are preventing them, and like the stigmas around these things combined the two, it just makes you deteriorate. And public stigma. Like I said, people already have a misconception of if you have a problem, um, there must be no way we can just fix it with a pill or just sit down and talk. No, there's just something wrong with you. There's nothing you can do about it. And it's just that we have to constantly be mindful on how we address people. And I know, Yana, you hit on it a little bit earlier. It's almost like you were like doing the research with me. But it's like I wrote down in big bold letters, how can we stop stigma? And they have this whole paper that you can set up. You can say do, say, and don't say. On the do say side, you have do say, not the liquor, but do say side. It's, if someone comes to you and wants to have an open dialogue with whatever they're going through for that mental health issue or mental illness, you say thanks for opening up to me, showing that appreciation, those words of affirmation to allow them to want to come to you more, to make it be a comfortable, warming environment to welcome that type of thing so that we can figure out what's happening. The things that you don't say is it could be worse or, just deal with it, right? That's another big one we hear, let's just deal with it, bro. You'll get through it. Like we automatically come up with a hard in and outside to figure out, well, I've had to deal with worse or a comparison thing. Oh, you think that's tough? You think you stressed out over that? Man, I had to do this, and this. X, Y, and Z. Not this is not a comparison game. Getting away from and breaking those types of signals is so simple just by watching what you say to a person who's willing and that's obviously vulnerable. They want you to go and be trusted. They want to be trusted. But the thing about it is every time they go talk to individuals, They're constantly being chastised, like you said before. And it's just something that, is near and dear to me. So many of my battle buddies I've had issues within the past. Some of them did not make it. Some of them, like he was talking about, we found soldiers, that have committed suicide because they didn't have a proper channel, a place to go and talk to someone. And that's something I just don't wish on anybody, to find a soldier or a service member who found no way out and willing to take their own life. We had an issue at Fort Hood with that, where they couldn't even take the bodies out of that scene, and you had to stay there in the doorway until the MPs came to check the body to make sure that they were deceased. So just to have to sit in that room and wait, and knowing that somebody is, that you just had a conversation with the day prior, has taken their own life and you had no idea. That's just something rough that we can just also just alter with just talking and saying the right words, and crushing the public stigmas. And hopefully, through crushing the public stigmas, the self stigma goes away as well, because now they find that it's okay to seek that help. That it is not something that you're checking the block saying, go get help. And it's not used in a negative way. When you say you need help, people are so used to hearing that being used in a negative way that they automatically lash out because of what was said to them in the past. Everybody has their own cross to bear, and we all have our own things that we go through. No one is going to be perfect in this environment. Nobody's going to be thriving every single day, willing to put themselves in harm's way and be. We have to just sit there and say, what would you want in that type of situation? How would you want yourself to be viewed as if you were to go through something like as rough as a tough time or be faced with any type of mental illnesses? You would want someone to be able to give you undivided attention and be able to thrive. So my question to the rest of my co-hosts is, how would you crush or stop those negative stigmas and change that narrative?
I
So
said,
go ahead, go.
it was like, um, just seeing how you would want to be treated in those situations and everything, and it really comes down to empathy. I said putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and seeing, like, everybody knows we all go through stuff. I don't think so much information out here now that you can't think that you're the only person that ever went through this. So I said, how did those other people handle the situations, or like what would have been better if it was you, or if somebody that's going through the same thing you did, how would you want it to be now that you seeing it from the outside looking in. I said, but it does take time. I mean, I didn't know the thing about if you seek help in the military that they can like bar you from certain jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know if it's like something like you doing something crazy out there that they can bar you from stuff, but like just going in and talking to somebody because you feel some type of, I mean, you felt a way
Yes,
that you needed to seek help.
yes, and that's the common misconception, and it causes a deterrence to get help. Not to take your time away, but I just feel like I just want to drive this point home because not a lot of service members know this. Um, yes, you can seek that help. Yes, they do have that mental health facility, behavioral health facility there for you. However, comma pause. If you go there and later on in your career you decide you want to go special operations, it's going to be a nice little evaluation done. Oh, you saw behavioral health in 2012, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no, I don't think you're what we're looking for. Is how they'll probably word that, and that's the problem. We PMCS provide those preventive maintenance checks and services, right? We clean and take time to go to the gym to better our bodies to get us physically there. We take time to get our marksman skills on par. to be a better shot. But where is the room for us to get that mental help that we need without any type of repercussion, without
Yeah.
having to be taken away from doing further things once I get the help that I need? You're not eligible to get into those fields because the fact that you sought out help. So now you're saying indirectly that it's best for me to keep my mouth closed so
Hmm.
that I don't have these things happen and hurt my career or stop me from furthering myself. Because obviously, somewhere along the line, someone feels as though if you go seek help for mental illnesses, you're weak or you're not what we're looking for and you're not stable. To
Yeah.
me, a stable person is one that self identifies that they do have a problem and that they do need to get the help that is already out there. That's what it's supposed to be for.
Hmm. Yeah, I think you did hit on something that does make me upset. It makes me feel a certain type of way when you have people that take that approach to actually get something done about their mental health, and then they look weak to their counterpart. They look at you differently. They make you feel less than what you are. Um, and as far as like job wise, I think that's probably a number one factor. Just not even in the armed forces, but just professional jobs where people don't necessarily come out and say, hey, there is something wrong with me. Hey, I need time off of work. I need to figure this out mentally or whatever, because then you're shunned. Then it looks like you can't do your job, or it looks like your mental health is overtaking your job. And it's like, no, I'm trying to prevent that from happening by doing something about it. But, professionally, that's not seen. And I just think that's just very hypocritical that we have resources out here for people mental health, but then we're going to attack them and hold it against them because they decided to get help. Like, where is the balance with that? There is no balance. So, I mean, if I was in a position of being in the army or whatever, and you telling me that, yeah, something could be wrong with me, but if I go and seek help, it's going to hurt me later, I ain't going to say nothing. I'm just going to be quiet and just deal with it, pretty much. It's the same thing with, and it's not just minorities, but like majority of the women that I help treat at the hospital, a lot of them don't come into the hospital um, for themselves, and they don't because they don't want to feel weak. And I think that's sad that they compromise their minds in order to fit the public opinion of them. That's got to be the most saddest thing ever. And I just really hope people just stop with that public stigma of shame and retaliation against people, minorities, men, women, just anybody, because they need help. Like it's mind boggling. It really is.
I appreciate that, Ayanna. You hit some good points. B, what you feel about that?
Um, my thoughts on it is more of getting to what we were talking about before, like there's facts, and you view it from one side. It's not. It's the justification of them doing what they of doing stopping you from having certain jobs. It's job security themselves of making sure the mission is going to be complete with no flaws. They want nothing with no flaws. Now, I'm not saying is it right? Nope, it's not, because I could be having a problem on Thursday, March the 4th. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm good. I never had no issues after that. So you're gonna penalize me for having an issue? You know what I'm saying? The human mind is gonna have errors in it. As much, and you're kind of making more damage when you don't go get seen about it, and then you actually have some kind of mental breakdown during the mission. Would you want the mission to fail, or you want it to fail? Which one is it? Just because I had a problem a year ago, which one is it? You know what I'm saying? I had a problem a year ago, going through a little rough patch. I had a breakup, X, Y, and Z. Got myself back right. I ain't been off since. I'm good and ready to go. Man, we had this little discrepancy though. So with that, you know what I'm saying? It's like you want something to be perfect, but we're not perfect. The mission's not even perfect. Anything can happen. Optimism is the key to life in that type of environment. It's optimistic. We can plan every order that we're gonna do in what order, convoy, all that stuff. It ain't all gonna happen in that sequence, in that order, in that order. It's not going to. Somebody gonna get lagged. Somebody gonna forget what the catch-up speed is because they weren't paying attention. Another person, the Humvee broke down, and the LT should have been the one that's been with them, go in the back to go with the recovery team. Somebody comes tow the vehicle back to base. These are very important things that people heard this thing, but it don't go that well sometimes. Instead of the LT, it was the our first class that did it because he didn't see the LT pull out, and the LT is the one, and LT is the one who lagged. You know what I'm saying? From behind. So I don't know. I always tell people you want people to you want them to be 110%, but then you chastise them from going to get help, and instead of you causing problems, it's best for you to let these people have their day, and if they evaluate before they go to that mission, then they should be good to go. If you want to give another check, that's cool. That's just understood. But don't just hold 2 years ago on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm a different person 2 years ago. So yeah, I appreciate you, Rick. With that one, man, is very important. I appreciate you on that one because it kind of gives a different aspect and kind of like see how the stuff of the past, like going back to Kevin's stuff, and how people treated mental health then, and us watching it now, and then it's a difference now. It's a good difference now. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate
Absolutely.
that, Rick.
Yeah, anytime. I appreciate y'all giving good
Yeah.
feedback.
All right, we're gonna dive right into Yana. So Giannis is kindness can help improve mental minority mental health.
I did have a question. Do y'all not have does HIPAA not apply to y'all in the military?
Yes, HIPAA does apply. Only time it doesn't apply is if you're going to do something to harm yourself or others. Those normal things that they have to report to the chain of command. But as far as that goes, those are in your medical file. When you're doing
Right.
specialized jobs like that, they can go above and beyond to ensure, throughout the vetting process is done
Yeah,
the way they need it to be done. So
Oh, damn.
very well.
yeah, they can still go in your file, but they can't still it's still HIPAA. They can't go out and say, "Oh, that
Oh,
damn
he
star
got
first class, that
this.
man crazy
Yes,
catch it." That's HIPAA. Got you. You didn't get away with it.
gotcha.
You have access, but you don't have the right to tell somebody else's business. That's still HIPAA.
Exactly.
Now,
That's
only if
Uh,
it
gotcha.
pertains to certain jobs that you do, they have the right to go through your mental records. All they have all access to all your records. You know what I'm saying? So
Cause I know, like, civilian, like, they can't hold it against you for a job. They actually have to ask your permission, for
yeah,
your records. But
see that
Negative.
free, and Uncle Sugar own you. Free own. You can do that in the job outside, but inside Uncle Sugar own you until
Not
that
Uncle
contract.
Sugar. Hey, listen.
Uncle Sugar,
Hey,
he
but
own
Uncle
you.
Sugar.
We know it's Uncle Sugar, man. He gonna get his.
Oh man. Hey,
Everybody else, and some people dealt with Uncle Sugar before. If he overpaid you, he ain't gonna say, "Oh, my bad, we're gonna take it on the lick." No, they're gonna take it on you, and you just gonna have to bleed the series. The mistake's always on. It's your fault, not mine. But hey,
somebody
I
got
stay
hurt by
away from
Uncle
Uncle Sugar.
Sugar. It sound like.
Oh
yeah,
shit, Uncle Sugar IRS too. They don't play no games.
my
so,
bringing up old
Yep,
wounds to remember.
yep. But hey, we're
Um,
gonna go on to your topic now.
so I read this article and it was just talking about how we can help with mental illness with minorities. It was basically just saying what we know is the leading cause of mental health in minorities, which is racism. And it is like the number one leading cause of mental illness in minorities. Open the door and let him know. But it's a reflection of the trauma that minorities go through with their mental, with racism in their mental health, which can result in stress, anxiety, depression, and PTSD. Stress probably from like everyday, day to day, just I don't know, just being a person of color. Anxiety for trying to prevent certain acts and actions and situations from happening because you're a person of color. Depression behind certain acts or situations happening, and of course, you can pretty much get PTSD from anything that's just been traumatic to you. Um, 67% of Black adults have racial stress in their, daily lives that affects their mental health. And when you look at it of just people of color, meaning people that are anything but white, it's about the same. It's 63%. And so it's like, how does race play a part in minorities' mental health? And this article broke it down in two categories. The one that we're most familiar with, which is, racial slurs. So anything talking about anything derogatory talking about somebody's ethnicity. And then another one, which I thought was really interesting, was microaggressions. And those are just things that are like subs that are targeted intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, at a person, just based on a group that they come from. In this case, of course, it'd be race. And then they even broke down the microaggressions into another category, which is it could be a invisibility microaggression, which is you're not even considering somebody's viewpoint. And I think this is really a problem, um, not only with minority mental health, but just with mental health, just period. Somebody can't see how you see something, even if it's mentally health related, because they can't understand where you're coming from. And that's okay. But I think what Kevin said is it's just you need to have empathy. Just because you can't have sympathy for it because you didn't go through it, it's not something that resonates with you. Just the fact that that person is going through that should radiate some kind of empathy from you. Criminality, which is people of color feeling like they are being treated as aggressive. And I feel like this is a continuing problem with people of color, especially in workplaces, where I feel like we already come in and that aggression comes off negatively. But I don't feel like it's aggression like, I'm gonna fuck you up in the break room. It just comes out of aggression of like, I want you to take me seriously, like to respect me. Don't think you can, pull one over on me. I do see that a lot with like females, especially females of color. I feel like sometimes they do come off as like overly aggressive. But I mean, if I came off as soft, then you walk all over me. So it's can't really get that balance with that. Over sexualization, this article, when it surveyed people of color, they felt like they were over sexualized, and that tendency to make them have deep depression. A third of the people that said that they have racial stress in their mental health said it was because of over sexualization. I mean, if you want to, my thing when I saw over sexualization, I just thought back to, when Black people just even came to this country as slaves and how the woman was treated as a slave. She just needed to be breeded. Some of them were masters, mistresses. They were being raped. They were only being used for sexual gratification half the time. And that's just that stigma, unfortunately, even in this day and age, it kind of just still stands that that is what's, you know, that you're more prone or you should be used to it than my counterpart, which is nasty. Foreign, it's basically making that person feel like they don't belong. I know some people probably do this unintentionally. Unintentionally meaning like, the group of us, we have common interests on certain things, and this person over here, they might not. So sometimes it's unintentionally, but I feel like or you would know if somebody intentionally is trying to make you feel like a foreigner, quote unquote. And then environmental invalidations. That part resonates with me the most. When I got married and moved to Kansas, it wasn't nothing but white people out there. Like black people just wasn't in a high commodity. And I feel like because that area that we were in was so dense that the only black people they saw were the black people like on TV and things like that. And so when I came out there and I'm, all talking and put together and, you know, correct English or whatever, they were kind of shocked. And I wasn't even mad and I didn't get offended because I can't get mad at you if all you saw is this negative stigma behind my race. Haven't experienced anything other than that. So I wasn't, offended or whatever. But as far as the workplace, those environmental invalidations, they just don't have no place. Just because somebody came from something less does not mean they're gonna do less of a job. And sometimes you have bosses and management, they equate that. Tyrone came from the south side of Chicago. That means Tyrone ain't gonna do his financial advisor job correctly. And the two things just don't match. They really don't. Um, and just like a linguistic racism, that's basically just talking about how people talk. I got made fun of when I was growing up in middle school and high school. I went to a predominantly white school, went to a private school, part of high school, and because I talked like I was white. Not really sure what talking like you're white means, but it is for people of color and minorities. So I kind of felt like, and I don't know if other people have felt this way, but I felt like I was with one group, I had to talk this way, but if I was with my homies, with my friends, with my family, I had to talk another way. That's stressful. Now I just don't care because it's just like, I'm 32. I don't care. Accept it for who it is.
Cool.
Well, I talked about it earlier, but a big gap in minority mental health is healthcare providers. Only 16% of healthcare providers are people of color. And sometimes representation does matter. I can't really lock in with my mental health and kind of talk to somebody that doesn't look like me or doesn't feel like I feel or has gone through some of the stresses that I have gone through. Like, I just can't see that because you just don't get it. I remember an episode of This Is Us, the NBC show, when Randall, the black guy, had went to get therapy. And he was very specific about the type of therapist he wanted. He said he wanted a black man. He's like, because I can't sit across and talk to a white man about how I felt being black for 40 years and then how my mental stress about that. And I think that's important. Um, Two tips, and then that's it. Um, if this is a problem or you feel like it's a problem in your environment, more importantly, your workplace environment, just be thoughtful of the language that you use when talking to your counterpart. And especially if they tell you that that makes them uncomfortable, please don't use that tone. Please don't say that word. Please don't do this. And then call them out, but respectfully call them out. You don't have to do it in a whole. You can pull Pam or Bob or Bill to the side,
You
tell them
sure
how
do
you
not.
feel, and yeah, and just let it go like that. It doesn't have to be a whole scene. But my whole thing about this is just I didn't even know this was a thing, to be honest, that minorities were kind of at the bottom pole with mental health. I guess I just thought it was just, but just be kind. And I think it just starts with communication and discussion about what's needed for it to not be an issue.
I would say, as far as
Everybody,
your
everybody.
tips go, a lot of people don't say anything, or they won't say anything to you personally. I don't. They're like they'll tell somebody, and then it's like a thing. When I was like, you could have just told me that bothered you or something like that. I said I didn't know. That's my fault for not noticing, but also body involved, and now it's a whole thing.
Now it's a whole issue. Now y'all having a workshop, uh, plan meeting. We've had a diversity coach come in here because that's happened before at a place I worked at. I'm like, man, we need to have to do all this. Y'all could have sent out a memo. Y'all could have told the person that's doing it. We're not all doing that. It's just him.
Okay, Ricky,
But I
you got
guess
anything to say,
it,
Rick?
my question is for y'all, like, do y'all think
Bro,
it's a gap in mental health care for people of color?
could you repeat that again?
Like, do y'all think it's a gap in healthcare for people of color? Like, do you think there's a problem? I don't think other races see that as a problem, but do y'all, since y'all are minorities, feel like it is a problem with our mental health?
Well, you have to be first named as a person first, and respect as a person first, and you have other people's rights getting protected way after we always last. It don't matter what you say, the 13th Amendment and all the 14th Amendment, all that stuff was just making making mass incarceration, aka another way of form of slavery. You didn't really cause any improvements on us. You know what I mean? What was promised to us, the whole 40 acres and a mule and all the rest of that joint, that you were never you were never the issue. You were just always the pawn piece. You know what I'm saying? Because let's be real, if America had its way during that time, they could just say, okay, well, if y'all come back and act right, y'all can still have y'all slaves. It was all political, like they were gonna fight to the end. So they just said, you know what, we'll take your slaves away from you. We'll beat you and take your slaves away from you and free them. You know what I'm saying? So like, let's be for real. We were just political pawn pieces. We've always been political pawn pieces. They always tried to experiment on us all the time. That's why you have older generations having problems with going to the doctor because of Tuskegee Institute and other stuff that they use us like we guinea pigs. We're not human. We're subhuman. We're not even a person. So how can I get respect if they don't respect me as a whole man, a whole person? I'm not no freaking you know, some other different subspecies to you. You know what I'm saying? So you're never gonna get it if they don't respect you and give you the protections that you should get. You don't get those protections. But until we do that, then we're just still back where we were. How you view this. So that's just my piece on it. You have to be respected as people and protected as people. I know no against offense to anybody else, to anybody in the other protected community, but it's kind of hard for me to sit back and just sit there and watch somebody else getting rights that I never don't even get. And when is it my turn? Because everybody gets a turn but me. You know, nothing against the Asian community. You got protected by law. We still ain't protected by law. They just got rid of. They just now prosecuting people for lynching. Just
Yeah,
now,
now for lynching.
2022, for lynching. They can
Crazy.
legally take you, drag you out your house, and lynch you, and wouldn't have to go to jail. Not for murder or nothing like that, because you're still not represented as other than
Mm.
less than what a human is. You're a test dummy. Crack. They did it to you.
Every state don't even see that, or doesn't even recognize that as a hate crime either. So depending on
No,
what,
that's the crazy part about it. Yeah, don't even matter. How does
it
powder
matters.
cocaine? Let me go to. How do I go to jail for less time for powder cocaine than I do for crack cocaine? That's a system they set you up for that, bro. Like the system's not made for you. When I seen that, and I was like, okay, you don't even treat me as such, but you gonna respect me. I tell you that, right?
And it definitely rises a lot of under emotions. I mean, like I can hear it. I mean, it's like the time progresses as we slowly the wool is lifted, and we're what B was talking about a little bit earlier, three-fifths compromise. That's what all that was about. You weren't even you were farm equipment. Okay, so coming into a nation where you were considered farm equipment for labor, you weren't a whole person. The three-fifths compromise was only a step, and they only revise certain things and apply in other areas. So when we're talking about mental health, the reason why minorities or in this situation, black people feel a certain way about seeking out that mental health is because their trust has already been compromised. The trust between me sitting down in front of a person who can't relate to where I've been or what I've come to be at ones with. Why should I now trust you with my internal issues? So you have more ammunition to use against me. That's the biggest problem. Is having a person sit across from you that can't relate to you and getting more people of color into those positions that can relate to you to open up to be able to dissect what the real root of what it is that you're going through. And we all know the root of where we were comes from our childhood. Things that we had to endure, the social economics and the differences in that alone, it's just crazy when you think about as a 5 or 6 year old kid, you can start to see the transition from that earlier age into when they become an adolescent. You then see them change again, the facial structure, how they handle themselves around others, because by that point, as an adolescent, you then now know that there's something different between you and me, that you might have a privilege that I don't have, or you may have things that I don't have or never thought about having, or man, is there something wrong with me? Is it because I grew up with less? Then you start to divert your problems elsewhere, right? Turning to other things like drugs and trying to figure out ways to cope with it internally because you can't talk to anyone. The trust has already been exposed and it's already been compromised. So no, you don't want to open up and talk to anybody because every time you were told in school to go trust this individual, you then turn on the TV and see those same individuals beating on a person that looks like you. So you don't want to be a part of that system and go in and voluntarily tell these people everything about you and all the deep dark secrets that you've had to deal with internally. We have to start by changing that internally first, assessing ourselves, getting the awareness out there, making it known that yes, we do have things and issues that we want to fix, but getting to the point of trust, having individuals trusted in that environment, having some type of a program outside of the Privacy Act that you sign when you go and sit in front of that counselor. It has to be a little bit more things in place before I believe that as a people we will then start to get the help that we really need so that we can, you know, slowly but surely make a difference because we're not where we were before, but yes, like B said a whole mouthful. It's just hiding it in other areas and just changing the names of it. It's just the same old thing. So I mean, that's just my piece on. It. I mean, I can have a whole nother segment for this, but that's just my response to that. It's a lot to deal with, and when you think about it, and it does bring up hurt feelings because of how when you look at the bigger picture, you realize what your people have been through in the past and why we were sent here.
Well, anything to say, Kevin?
Nah, I'm good.
All right. Um, yeah, that was a good one there. To kind of follow into that narrative of thinking of the other side of the fence of like how you know you ask me a question, I give you an answer, but it may not be the answer you think I should say. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't see the way that I'm seeing things. You know what I'm saying? You can't say that because your privileges veiled you from the discrepancies that we have because we're not given the full opportunity or put in the placement of opportunity to be able to do it. I'm asking for the opportunity. I'm not asking for you to do it for me or a handout. Give me the same opportunity you gave Charles over there. You know what I mean? Let DeWine get the same stuff as John gets over there. It's only to be fair. All I needed is a chance. And I think it's like only two people that I say it like this: the people who give make a disadvantage for other people is because they know in the long run or they've seen it before. If they're given a chance, they're gonna beat me.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it before. I done went over there. This had golden throne. You know what I'm saying? They had money, and it was just money. They didn't even think of it like we think about it. It's greed. It's just nothing. Here's some gold coins for your problem. They got gold coins. Man, let's beat them over their head and take their money, and then let's slave them. They got some strong backs. Look at them. They built a whole empire here. That's what you did, and that's what happened. So I hate to say it and call it for you. It's just the truth. And the people who are usually winning are the ones who write the history book. I
Yeah.
watched this little Netflix movie. I was at one of my friends' house and they had like a little kid. They were watching the movie, and I forgot the name of the movie. It was one little black girl in there saying that it's you're the ones who won, so you wrote the history, and these are all lies. You wrote it the way to make it look like you're right and everybody else was wrong, even though you did wrong and didn't do right. When I heard that, I was
Narcissist.
like, fact, fact,
Narcissist.
fact. That's what it is. You won so you can write this winning story. You're never gonna hear the losing person's views. You're being
Yeah.
suppressed. Be quiet. Shut up, Rick, and just do work. Shut up, y'all, and mind your business. Stay in your place. Shouldn't talk out of turn, gal. That's what
Okay.
they want. They're going back. You're trying to go backwards, and they're gonna work that way. Because
Not
your great
now.
great grandparent,
That gal,
your
right?
great grandparent, yeah,
Hey, yo,
no,
baby,
that's what they're gonna.
no.
Your great great grandparents, they did all that, bro. But now it ain't the time to go back, brother or sister.
Dang,
We can't do that. I
time to
already told
go.
you I couldn't be. I can't be a slave. I've been dead already.
Man,
It's time.
listen, me as a slave,
Ooh,
I'm
no, ain't gonna make
finessing. I'm finessing. I'm like,
it.
so look, I picked a lot of cotton yesterday, right? Now hear me
Right?
out, hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. Now John went up to the market. Y'all, it's about time for us to take turns. I feel like all of us need to get some time to go in the house, just a little bit. I would
Yeah,
have
Finesse it.
finessed. I would have been a finesse kid. Ain't no way I'm doing all. No, listen, no, no, no.
yeah. I mean, we see it all. The laws that they're trying to change and go back to. They're trying to renege on other stuff. Other people trying to get saved and put stuff in law because the Supreme Court is going backwards. They're trying to rate. They're trying to undo all that stuff, and we all seen them get in there. Even though all the Republican people come up in there, they're going to mess some stuff up because they mad. They want to know what winning is, and then you and see that you're poor. Rick, you're poor. I'm rich. I want you to know that. You know what I'm saying? They want to go back to being the winner, and the winners always try to be the conquerors. They don't never want to share. And that's the people empowered. It doesn't have to be. It's not a race. I mean, maybe a race is involved in the situation, but there's other races do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We just can't look at one side of the coin and just try to blame white people all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Your own people are doing it to themselves. Yeah. See, you thinking I was just gonna flip on one side? I looked at both sides of the coin. On the other side of the coin, it's the same people, just different names, different colors. Try to keep people down. That's it.
yeah,
So I already told you, they just want you to populate. They want you to take abortion away, so they want to populate. They need new slaves. They got to stay rich, just like the Egyptians. Children of Israel got too many. It's too many of them.
Oh
We
man,
gotta,
see, look,
you
you
know what I'm
getting
saying?
deep.
New slaves, bro. New
We're gonna
slaves.
have
We
to,
need them
yeah,
because we
yeah.
can't afford. It's new slaves because you can't afford it. You know how much it is daycare? Rick, you know how much daycare is. You ain't that far from moving with daycare.
Very,
Y'all, you know how
very
much
expensive.
daycare is. That's
Oh, I know how.
expensive. People don't. Yeah, people don't want to sit here and spend money on daycare. They working to go to take your kids to daycare.
Oh,
You
and they
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
automatically try to put another bill in there so that as soon as the child is conceived, then child support starts as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen that.
I seen
that's
that.
true.
The on
That's
conception.
crazy.
Oh, but oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At conception,
Well,
really? You gonna automatically? You just gonna initiate
well,
that thing?
if it's that well, if it's that successful, you're gonna get the DNA test because they might not
Yeah.
be mine. I ain't paying for nobody else.
I
That's
think
a
you have to pay and then they'll give you money back if once
Oh,
the
it's
okay.
not,
Yeah,
child is
yeah.
not yours.
Okay.
So it's like saving your
All
money
right.
essentially for 9 months. But
but they have to. If they're going to make laws for abortion and say that life starts at conception, then yeah, that means child support starts at conception, healthcare starts at conception. My kid has a social security number at conception. I can file their taxes. I don't have to wait till the next year to file them my income taxes.
no, hold up
Y'all are
now.
gonna
Mhm.
get
No, hold
all
up. They don't. That's not what's good. They're not gonna want all of that. See, you gotta read them
that,
clauses in there.
but you are. You said it though.
Yeah, yeah. But um, I
It's like
appreciate y'all
What
on this.
Candy said on Django. He said, "No, that's not what I said."
No,
No, that's what you said, Big Daddy. Now what you
that
want?
was
I don't know what you want.
Man,
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Tanya was having internet problems, so we were gonna go over our topic. Um, so
what
we're gonna
was
close it early. Her topic was find it. Her topic was what mentally grounds or balance you as a productive single parent.
I ain't got time for that. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah, she couldn't come back. Something happened. Her internet went out. But I'm just gonna get this last little piece of news on here. Just let everybody know your Uncle Joe Biden, his COVID symptoms have improved considerably. He just
Oh,
mainly
that's
has a sore throat, guy. He's gonna live. And I
okay.
talked to I was like, COVID gonna take up out of here, Uncle Joe?
yeah, I heard he had COVID a couple of days ago. I was wondering how that was
Yeah,
going, but
man.
you know how that goes.
Hey, man.
Best
He
medical,
he got the
the
best.
best
He
man.
got that Trump
Yeah,
stuff.
oh yeah,
Here
yeah.
you go. Same stuff
When
Trump got.
President Trump had COVID for like 72 hours, that thing was gone.
Mhm.
One minute he on the balcony, breathing hard. Next minute, good, and we're back. Everything's good.
Yeah.
We're good. We got some of the best leaders. I was like, wow,
Yeah, we
man.
got to show them that medicine. I said, hey, why don't you share some of that medicine with these other people down here?
I'm just saying, man. I got like family members
And
that's had
the
COVID like five
medicine that he
times.
took is
It's
out
crazy.
there.
Yeah, and they got like
I
a
literally
extra shot
dispense
of that.
it every day.
Oh, you dispense it now. I'm pretty sure it wasn't out there when he had it.
No, it wasn't. It had to, and it's not even FDA approved. It's just approved as emergency use. But then they say that, and then doctors just prescribe it. Oh, you positive for COVID? And literally, like, which one do you want? You want this one or you want that one? Because there's like three different types. And it's just crazy. Like people aren't even caring about the side effects after that. What could
Yeah,
happen?
that's what. And
Hurt.
well, we can say just a side effect. It's like taking that stuff. It's like it's like a double-edged sword. The side
Mhm.
effects that you get from COVID can be in long-term, short use, and then the side effects from the medicine you take is going to screw you. So it's almost
No.
like, depending on how long you just sit around and just let COVID just take over your body. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
People,
So
people. I'm just gonna say,
grow an extra ear or something. You don't have COVID no
yeah,
more.
Mm,
yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell people, be safe out there. Um,
yeah,
the COVID numbers are going back up.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
yeah.
schools about to start back. Some of the schools here and some of these charter schools here in Texas already started. They're like in 2 weeks already because they go year round. Different
Yeah.
charter schools, but schools for ISDs down here and other schools about to start in, midway August or haven't already started the 1st of August. So yeah, come on, people, let's get some contingency plans. I understand we're bringing back people from different places that went to different places. You know what I'm saying? So these numbers are probably going to be spiking. So best thing to do is protect yourself at all times. Put a mask on. Tell your kids to put a mask on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these are conversations that probably should have been had at school board, saying that, hey, coming into school, we think we should everybody have a mask mandate for the first three months. Then if we play it off, the numbers ain't high, then we'll just take the mask off. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you have to use common sense and saying from everybody going scattering out, then everybody coming back to the same place. It's more controlled in that situation than people coming out, coming in, coming out. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have those spikes, but let's use our common sense, people. Put our mask on. You know what I'm saying? So,
Very well. Very well. We'll
well,
see
I
what happens.
appreciate y'all. Yeah, I appreciate y'all being on here and
No
did
internet
pretty good
issue.
on. Yeah, we gotta get trying to get the internet right first.
Get her a
Stretching with
hotspot.
somebody trying to somebody in a hotspot or something, man. Let me get them kick
Right.
them off that. Still the internet. But
Sure.
yeah, man. But I appreciate y'all. This is a Play Your Part podcast, and oh yeah, I know say I appreciate to Kevin. He had to leave earlier, or whatever. So just wanted everybody to tell everybody that I appreciate y'all. Play Your Part is a Play Your Part podcast.